College football nerds here doing a quick hitter, kind of model only with a pick at the end. We've done our full previews and we're a little tired and we couldn't do 5 whole previews this week. So we're doing a couple of quick model only because we know where y'all going to ask about it. Ole Miss and Arkansas. Let us know in the comments what you think the score is going to be. Check out our live show. Links are in the description. We talked Saturday night about all the action. We go a lot longer than these previews. 1 to 2 hours generally is what we do. All right, Josh, let's get right into the model, and then we'll get some picks.
So getting into the model, the interesting thing here is you got two teams that both fall 5 spots in the rankings due to playing number 1 and number 2. And yeah, they lose in non-competitive fashion, quote unquote, but they're tough games. And I don't think either one of those is really fair. But I think the bigger question to me is which team is better. And yes, Arkansas has played better competition to date, or at least they have better wins, I'll say. But I also think that, maybe that just the fact that you've played better competition and have won against those teams doesn't necessarily mean you're a better team. I mean, Ole Miss putting up 61 points on Tulane is no small feat. So without further ado, getting into the model, and actually favors Ole Miss. I mean, the model has this game 25-11, Ole Miss over Arkansas. And what it sees essentially is an Arkansas team that's really, really high level defensively. And in terms of these stats, they're the best of any team we've seen or modeled really so far, because we just talked about Iowa and Penn State this week. We talked about even like Georgia. And I'll tell you, like past defensive numbers for Arkansas, 68% against the pass, rush defense, 78% of opponent rushing averages. Georgia's a little bit better on both marks, but not by much, like 65% versus 68%. That's how good Arkansas has been. Whereas Ole Miss, I think to their testament, the biggest thing is they're right about opponent averages. They've been giving up 120% of your averages in recent years. So giving up 98% or 92% of your passing averages, 92% is a solid number. Like they're an average P5 defense, and that's a massive improvement. But basically what our model is saying is, Arkansas offensively, especially coming out of the Georgia game, it's got a lot of questions. And they beat up on A&M, but they still only got 20 points on the board. In doing so, the model does not like A&M. We just did an Alabama A&M video, and it doesn't give a ton of credit for that. So it has Ole Miss winning this game, and it has it more or less just due to the fact that Ole Miss's offense is explosive. It puts up a lot of points, almost regardless of yardage. Ole Miss's propensity to go for it on 4th down, to have explosive plays, means they generate points in a disproportionate clip. It actually has Arkansas having a higher per play average, meaning they probably run the ball better, they have better stats, but it's the explosives that put Ole Miss ahead. And I think that tracks with the Kiffin offense. Kiffin's going to find a way to put 20 to 25 points up in a game, really irrespective of his yardage, just due to the nature of his ability to call shot plays and get mismatches. Where Arkansas, even with Briles' involvement in that scheme, probably needs to be a little more consistently productive. And if they don't get it, they don't get the points. At least that's what the model thinks. So I'm kind of curious on your opinions.
My opinion is I think we're going to be a little bit jaundiced by what happened last year. So Ole Miss, puts a number up on Alabama and then turns around and has, Corral has a disaster game against Arkansas. And I think that we're going to be a little bit influenced. Our tendency is to be influenced by that game and how that all played out. And I do think there's an emotional letdown against a team that you felt like you could, compete with, and then you just kind of get squished in Alabama. But I think that there's a lot to play for in front of Ole Miss. And I think that, look, Ole Miss is an elite offense at this point. I think a couple of things go their way against Alabama, and they're putting up 35 points Saturday, right? So I don't think that Arkansas is elite on the defensive side of the ball. I don't love their offense much at all against a really good defense, which Ole Miss is not. But on the flip side, I don't think they're going to stop Ole Miss enough to get a win here. Give me Ole Miss 30, Arkansas 23.
So we managed not to have the same pick this time. I have it 31-17, Ole Miss. I think this game's a little higher scoring than the model thinks, but the interesting thing to me is Texas A&M and Ole Miss statistically in our model on the defensive side of the ball are pretty similar. And I think that tracks with what I've actually seen on the field. So around 20 points for Arkansas is pretty like normal expected number. And on the offensive side of the ball, against what can be a somewhat predictable defense, as much as that drop 8 was effective last year, I think Ole Miss learned some lessons, and I think Corral is being a lot headier with his decision-making than he was at the same time last year. I don't think they make the same mistakes, and I think that's enough for them to get 30 points in the game. I just don't think Arkansas can keep pace. So that's why I have Ole Miss 31-17. And I'll say, as I've said for a while, I think Ole Miss is one of the more underrated teams in the year. I think they're still that way after a loss to Alabama, which is the number 1 team. I think Arkansas is also underrated right now, but I think Ole Miss is in actuality probably a top 10 team that would beat most teams in the country.
All right, y'all. Let us know what you think about this game. Give us a score. Hit like and subscribe while you're down there if you haven't already, and that notification bell. Thanks so much, y'all. Have a great week. God bless.